and so that was something I think that would be important not to use as a write-in,
there
but
is a traffic
specifically.
There is a
Traffic
traffic
calming.
Oh, I'm sorry,
calming.
I didn't see it.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
because I saw the road
specifics.
repair and the congestion,
Yeah.
I missed it, that was important,
Yeah.
I know that was one of the things we chose.
But then you'll
It was in my
get,
head.
I do notice that
traffic
spray
calming
parks
would
were
be
talked
there
about, but
afterwards.
there's not an option for spray
You
park.
got-
the icons either.
Yeah.
But what else was on there, just to be sure that that translates over?
The
'Cause
big,
that's the only one I
the
can
big,
remember, the
the big
drains.
three, the big four was traffic calming, for lack of better term, or traffic
that is the word,
safety,
yeah.
Drainage.
drains, roads,
Walkability.
Sidewalks, walkability,
and
hiking, biking.
drains, roads,
Walkability.
communication,
Sidewalks, drains.
yeah,
Roads and
sidewalks.
And the
Okay, so we have it all covered.
So
Okay.
walkability, sidewalks.
And trails.
Drains, what,
Yeah, hiking and biking
No, that was
trails
just-
were
yeah.
high on there.
In our head.
Yeah, nature trails.
Perfect.
And also in here under parks, there's nothing designated picnic areas or pavilions.
Yeah,
And
which
also-
is another thing that was sent in.
Community gardens, and an extension of community gardens is berry patches and orchards. But it's kind of a part of a community garden.
Yeah, no, that's important, because those were, and I did bike racks, I did water features, but that's important, because that's some of the stuff that we really can accomplish.
I know, a splash park was mentioned many times, but
I
I
didn't
don't see
do
anything
splash
like
park, I
that
did a
on
water
here.
feature is what I was talking
Yeah.
about, but not a splash park.
I know that was mentioned in some of the evaluation things, is, hey, what do you think of a splash park, but I don't even see that on here either, so.
so do you want water feature and splash park?
I think as long as we can freely write in anything and everything, then I think we're okay.
Yeah, because we have a write-in
Yeah,
spot,
yeah.
so.
Because I'm sure the public can come up with many wonderful.
Oh, yeah. No, he's got all these people, so they're all gonna come up with something that I would never have thought of, or you.
As long as we
or-
don't only have one write-in,
Well,
Oh, I'm sure they
and
can.
people take this right
These
in.
items are just generalities
Right.
of what
Yeah,
you're looking for, right? I mean, you can't put down specific things on there, or why have them, because that's what we want if we put it on there, so.
well, they can write in
Yeah, I
specific.
mean,
Yeah,
I want a trail
I mean,
down
you have
Oakwood
to
Road,
write in
so
right here.
whatever, you know.
The
Yeah,
parentheses
so
under
it
some
don't
of
have to
yours
be.
is that may require sewers,
No, that's.
coffee shops and all
don't
that,
want to put that on here, we just wanna see what they would like.
no,
you know.
And then we see, will it fit with the way the infrastructure is currently? Matt?
okay, you done, Larry?
Not what?
Yes.
Sorry,
You asked.
saying that.
I don't know if you have these, if they're going to be in strips, columns like they are listed here. If you're, I think there's lots of creative ideas here, and if you were to have a write-in, let's say you have a strip of park-related ones. If you had a write-in for each of these categories.
Yeah, I made a note of that,
Okay.
yeah,
That way they aren't restricted
It's a
to
good
one
idea.
of the categories.
yep, for sure. Good ideas, excellent.
We will include, and I think I gave a copy to Mike, but everybody got this, right, from when we did our first exercise of the stuff that we
Right,
individually and stuff, and we'll give you a copy. I think Mike's got a copy of that, so there's one there.
Yep.
continue on, John.
No, just.
So, so that's what's in store for the public open house, and then after that, there's gonna be, another presentation to present the results. I'm not sure if there's a date set for that though, and that's when we're gonna consolidate the input that you were talking about earlier. So we'll get all that together, we'll get the results from this, open house and put it all in a presentable format so people can react to that information.
So is that presented to the planning commission, or again, do we see it before it goes public, or
Yeah,
is it
yeah,
just
no, I think it'll
presented?
come to you first, just like we're doing now.
Okay,
And then we'll do
And
it
then
at
we'll
a,
go public.
exactly, yeah. So you won't be seeing it for the first time unveiled with everyone else.
So, and what would that be called?
Just another workshop, public workshop.
just to be the second one.
Mm-hmm.
The open house should be put on the calendar probably too then, for the 28th.
It will be as soon as we voted on it and.
Yeah, okay.
And now, John, you're gonna have not just a single write-on, you're gonna have.
One
like
under each
multiple.
category and then probably
I
just
would put-
random ones.
I
Yeah,
would put 2 under each
Yeah.
category, I think. if
that's a
it's,
good idea.
Because, you know, like you said, the public's gonna have lots of ideas, I wanna make sure they have plenty of opportunities to be able to put their thoughts.
Absolutely.
Just
Yes, Bill.
quick question, typically after you have the open house, how long is it before all that data is kind of synthesized and ready to present, you think?
When's the next meeting after the open house? When's the next planning commission meeting?
That would be,
August, unless you guys schedule sooner.
oh,
That's
we don't
right.
have one in July?
No, I thought we weren't having it because of the 4th of July.
Mm-hmm.
We probably should have one in July. What do you think, Lee?
4th of July is Wednesday.
We could have it on the 10th?
10th.
We could have it on the 17th? What do you think, Lee?
I don't have my map, I don't have my
Here.
monthly map here.
Mike would, I mean.
How long's it gonna
John,
take?
would it take longer than, say, the middle of July to
No. Mm-mm.
get stuff?
No.
John, how long will it take to
Tuesday,
compile
Tuesdays.
the information after the public,
After the second one?
A week or two.
a week or two? So,
Yep.
okay, we're talking the end of July for that. So if we go 2 weeks into August, right?
That was the end
No,
of
no, no,
June.
no, end of June. So July I gave you to look at, can you show them?
Right, July, but
So we need a meeting somewhere in July, the second week or third week,
The public
For
open
us.
house is in
for
June.
us. Our
Okay,
public open
alright.
house is in June.
so June 28th, right, is
Is
our,
open house,
okay. So he's saying 2 weeks, so that
Yeah.
puts us,
like second week of July.
right? So,
When's
we
the
could
council
do,
meeting then?
I'm looking, what, 17th?
Council's the last. Monday.
17th, 24th, I'm talking Tuesdays.
Right.
He just asked something, yeah, I know that.
We're doing the deal on the 28th, and he's going 2 weeks from there. Puts us,
Is 2 weeks comfortable with the holiday? Should we go through, okay, because I know you said 2 to 3 weeks, I'm thinking, are we cutting you?
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we'll take that.
I'm thinking in here somewhere, Larry.
So is that prior to the second public?
And
I think either one,
Yeah,
I would,
and that
I
way
think
we
it would be
can
best to have
make
it
a public
before.
hearing
Or
for that.
when
Or
do
we'll
you
be
guys
going
shut
in
down
fall
for
if
the
we don't meet in
automotive
July.
holiday? This 2 weeks,
This day,
just 1 week?
this day.
Okay, that's it.
One day,
Alright,
I work in IT,
so,
I'm not a factory.
so I guess I'm saying we gotta look at the week of the
And look at your.
16th or later, right?
Was it the 10th or 17th then?
Oh,
He's got it.
There
Yeah,
you
we're
got
looking at
Tuesday the
17th,
17th, Tuesday the 24th.
I would,
Okay,
I would
July.
probably
17th.
prefer to have our meeting before the council meeting in
Right,
July,
it would
just
be a
so
good
that
thing,
would
so
be
we-
able to
we've
review
got
things,
input,
and then Tanya
so
would have some
Tanya
more
will have
information to present.
Food to,
Okay,
for
17th.
food to feed.
This is going to cramp your style, I'm out of town. I will not be there on the 17th, but as long as somebody, I'm not gonna be there for the 23rd either. I'm actually still out of town.
Good for you.
So if somebody else is
Late.
available, that would be wonderful.
Okay.
There's,
Okay.
I can't do it. I'm still going.
And
Thank you.
we had
We can
also
cover it.
mentioned changing the date of the August meeting because you have a conflict.
And I said, don't do that for me. That was just, you planned it on the date of elections.
It's so important that our liaison is here. We're
Stop.
more than happy to
Rick's going to
adjust
be
our,
working there too.
We both work.
We're both
right?
gone.
and I will be
Yeah.
too,
And so is
probably.
I mean, we'd be more than happy to change the date, correct, Larry, Bob?
We would be most accommodating.
Anything other than Tuesday would be cool. So we're back to the other one, are we at the 17th? Before we go to August?
Of July.
July.
This is July. July 17th.
And then a representative to be there on the
Oh, there it is.
23rd as well.
Yeah.
And that's just a PC meeting to get the information from the first one to
Right.
prep for the second one.
Right,
Prep
it's
for the
also
public.
it's basically rescheduling your regular planning commission meeting from the 3rd to the 17th, so if there's any other business.
Right.
But that
We can
information
take
that we're gonna
that.
do on the 12th, or on
11th.
the 11th, thank you, is the information that'll be put out to the, on the second public workshop,
What do you mean on the 11th?
What's happening on the 11th?
for the July meeting. from
July
the-
17th.
Oh, I thought you were talking
July
about.
17th.
July
I
17th.
had it right.
Okay.
I thought you were talking about the 11th approval, I'm sorry.
Can we get a
Okay,
motion
so
to
July
make that change?
17th.
So what we do on the 17th, they'll just preps for
We do.
that second public workshop. Okay. that's all-
Right.
All I really need to do.
There we go.
Yep.
Lee, I
And we
think,
don't lose a month in the interim.
Right.
is
yeah, I
what
think
the
to
deal
make
is.
this official, I'm gonna make a motion to reschedule our July meeting from, to Tuesday, July 17th.
You're not
add
rescheduling,
it.
you're just
There
scheduling.
is
Or
Scheduling,
schedule,
there
okay,
wasn't
to
one.
schedule
Yeah.
it for July 17th.
Support.
Got support by Mel.
And provide a liaison on the 23rd.
That doesn't need to be in the motion.
You're gonna forget?
I don't know, cause somebody's gonna say. We don't
But
need that in
just
the
in the
motion.
comments.
Any discussion on it? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nobody opposed, so we're gonna move our regular planning commission meeting.
No, we didn't have one in July.
We are going to schedule
We're
a
gonna have
planning
one.
commission meeting.
You're just scheduling one
For
because you
the-
didn't have one.
We didn't have one.
Then do we need a motion to move the Alice meeting too?
Mhm.
With that, we would.
But then there's no date now for that second workshop.
Correct, we'll
Yeah.
do it then.
Yeah,
So I can try to be available on the 23rd. I'll have to check my schedule and see if, let's see, what does that have be? Yeah, I can try to make it on the 23rd of the council meeting. Is anybody else?
Okay, you will attend, you and Rick will attend that.
Yeah, I'll probably be there too. I've been going and watching. So I have a question then regarding all the invitations. So who puts it on social media? Who's putting it, like, are we going to have a Facebook page for this, or is it just going on our website?
for sure on your website, but if you want us to
Do you
post
put
it
that on, or do
on your
we?
Facebook page,
On the website.
on your website,
I
you guys
will.
would put it on the
We
website.
do that,
Okay,
we've got
so when is all of that rolling out? Tomorrow? Or when is this all rolling out?
As soon as he tells me to.
When's this all rolling out?
As soon as you guys approve it.
That's not even, I was just like, free to get, to roll it out.
What's that?
He's gonna
That
make
has to be created
corrections.
first.
Oh,
What's
correct. Yeah, but the newspaper one, if you wanna get it in time, it has to be tomorrow, but I just wondered when the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, he's gonna
social
make
media-
corrections, send it back to us before noon tomorrow.
Okay,
And then we'll put it on, we'll do the Facebook, the newspaper, the,
okay, the
As soon as we
website,
Does the DDA have a Facebook page? Yeah. Okay.
and then the
I'll
cards.
forward that to you, or Liz will forward it to you,
And
Matt.
we'll put it on our Facebook page too.
Cool.
And then the cards will be sent out
And email.
when roughly? Is that you or you?
That's them.
Okay,
They've got the address
Got the
list.
mailing list?
Oh,
We got the mailing list.
Okay,
So, and then those
Suggest we
would go
email
out
the
roughly
council
when?
before all of this gets published.
tomorrow or the
That-
day after.
Oh,
An
okay,
invitation,
alright.
like the
That good?
invitation.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know if you could get them that quick.
Postcard
For
go
this
to-
year, the-
Heck yeah, we're well oiled machine.
Yeah, I love it.
Just an email of the invitation, like when you send an invitation, to email everybody an invitation on DDA, planning commission and village, so they know when people start asking questions, what's the date and everything, so we just.
Mel,
Yeah.
are you, I just want one direct one other item to Bill. That item is
Yeah.
about
All those other outside the village stakeholders.
the,
Um,
forgot that. In the middle of talking, I forgot what I was gonna ask you. There was something we wanted to discuss about the website for the pub.
Oh,
Email?
someone
You
had asked
mentioned you
about
could
an
set up-
email, box for, for,
If people can't make it to the public deal, Bill said he could set up a temporary website so that if anybody
Or email?
cannot
Email.
make it, they can email to
Address?
that site.
Email address.
Okay.
Correct.
And it'll come either to me or Bill, however we wanna have it set up. And it would be like masterplan@ortonvillevillage.com or whatever you guys decide.
Does anybody have an issue with that, or?
Nope. I think it's a good
Needs to
idea.
be.
The only issue I have with it is that, and is that I would want people to identify
If they're a village resident,
who they are, give an address versus a blind email box.
So it's gonna be coded, they need a,
So if you wanna send us an email saying, here it is, you gotta put your name, address on there so that we don't get the
they're
same accusations.
legitimate village
They're legitimate
residents.
village
Or
residents.
none, or none.
Property owners.
Or none,
Wait,
they can
can
still
we talk
suggest.
more about that, maybe
Sure.
how to logistically do that, cause
Okay,
we've done that in other communities too.
Should that email be on the invitation then? When that,
The
should
email
that
address
address be then
should
on
be.
the
Are
invitation?
you
It
gonna
should be on
have it by
everything that
tomorrow?
goes
yeah,
out.
how long will it take you to set it
They
up?
can set it up by tomorrow afternoon. I can call her tomorrow morning and
Okay.
give her the information and she can have it set up by the end of the day. I can have the address.
I mean, that's not going out until later.
We're talking about
Nobody's
the
going
newspaper
postcard.
ad.
The postcard's not, that's
Right,
true.
right.
Nothing's
It
going.
doesn't have to
the
be on
newspaper
the
won't be out
newspaper
till
ad, I
Friday.
guess.
Yeah, but it has to be submitted tomorrow by
Right,
noon.
but you can write down an address, it doesn't have to be working by noon, it won't
True.
even be out in the paper
Right.
till Friday.
Right.
And you
True.
can,
So it's
Saturday.
fine,
Yeah.
Friday it comes out online.
you can name it whatever you want as long as it ends at ortonvillevillage.com. So whatever you guys want it named.
Yeah, and
Master plan.
I think the easiest way to handle making sure is just make sure
Yeah, you're right.
that when the email is sent out and say you can respond here, make sure that
Makes sense.
there's some kind of statements saying that comments will only be considered if they include the sender's name and,
Address.
That's what John said.
Well,
he-
John, what have you done in
address
other
that.
communities then?
yeah.
Well, in one particular one that relatively recent, we had, they actually got a code that they had to use, and one code was issued for each property owner. And they had to enter that code in order to get access to, it was a survey.
Yeah,
It was
we
an online
did
survey.
the Survey Monkey that way,
Yeah.
and the issue was you didn't know. You had to rely upon the person's honesty, basically, to differentiate if they were a village resident or not, and there was ways to, Mike had said there was ways to beat that code to where people could have made multiple submissions. So what we're asking for, or what I'd like to see if we do that, is just put down, because we did a great, Melanie and a whole bunch of other people did a great deal of work coming up with these address lists and stuff, so if somebody can't make it on that day, the thought was if a resident wanted to send in a suggestion on the master plan, and use the expression, keep it simple still.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
all they gotta do is send us their suggestion, put their name and address on there, so that we can check them off the list, and, you know, nobody can say, hey, we're, you know, packing
Stuffing
ballot-
the- stuffing the ballot box.
Or something, you
Yeah.
know.
Okay,
And I think we don't want to make it any more difficult for people to respond than possible. And it's easy enough to just, hey, yeah, just send us this email, include
And
name
it's
and
open
address.
to people in or outside of the village to send an email.
Right,
We don't want to discourage anybody sending an email.
right. But they just need to give it a name and address.
Required, and that's it.
Yeah, that's fair.
okay.
Cool, so
And,
then,
and then if they don't, it's just gonna be discarded.
Exactly.
Okay, while we're on the master plan, I've had discussions with various people on the village council and that. And they have maybe one of the reasons that they have an issue with the planning commission is they don't know what we're gonna do. One of the items they have a real concern with, and we talked about on the master plan, is sewers. I think based on the cost to put sewers in and that type of thing, I guess at this point, we should maybe, if everybody's in favor with me, we don't plan, because financially it's not feasible in the near future, and I don't think we should address those items in the master plan, other than at this point in time, the feasibility of putting sewers in the village financially is beyond what we can do here in the village with the residents. And that way, I think a lot of the people on the planning commission will understand that, hey, you know, I think they have a fear that this sewer thing's gonna come up again, or that's gonna be part of our updated master plan. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are. I thought I'd throw it out and we can discuss it here.
You wanna go around
Rick.
the table, or?
So there's an alternative to village-wide sewer project, which has been discussed a lot. An alternative was to have, in fact, it's even on the survey, is to have some kind of a downtown septic system for businesses, if the businesses kind of pay for most of it themselves.
Special assessment.
Those would
district.
be considered community septic fields.
Right.
It's not a sewer system.
Right, and that's the only thing that was on the surveys related to sewage treatment or
Yeah. You know, and when I talk about sewers, I'm talking residential
Okay.
sewers for the village of Ortonville. Feasibility as far as financially being able to do that. I cannot see that in the very near future, that there's no funding out there for it.
And the other discussion that we've had on residential sewer management, I guess you'd say, is or septic management. It was this idea that that people would have their septic systems checked once in a while, and if they're not if not functioning, that then they would be required to improve them somehow.
Well, I
Remember we
believe
talked
we
about
had
that?
discussion on that a couple meetings ago, Rick, that's something that's handled by the Oakland County
County.
Health Department, and they're telling us we don't have the right to go in and say, hey, we want you to tell us that you've had this septic clean on a 2-year basis or whatever. And ask Bill, I don't know if that's right.
Yeah,
I thought we had
you're
discussion on
pretty
that.
close. It's
The county
state law gives the operating of septic systems to the county health departments, the operations. The county health department currently only has one rule in place, and that is with the they put in a rule in 2016, I think it was, Oakland County did, regarding engineered systems that were put in after that date, and don't quote me on the date, that you are required to have an inspection and submit it to the county every year if you put this new system in. The only legislation that has passed locally that I'm aware of and that the county health department was aware of when I talked to the head of it at Oakland County was that there's one municipality in the Oakland County that has passed a ordinance related to, at the time of sale, you must have your septic system checked and it must be validated, but they're expecting that to be challenged in court the first time somebody's system fails or something, so it's not really right now considered. There is, though, at a state level, there is now 2 bills pending, and I have been told that they've made it out of or going to the floor, they think, because it was actually going through committee versus just kind of sitting there with no traction. One of them is that if you put in an engineered septic field, you're required to submit an inspection every 2 years. And I thought that was kind of counterintuitive, but it makes sense now because there's kind of working parts in these engineered systems that they need to see that they're functioning. So they're gonna require, if that bill passes, an inspection to be submitted to the County Health Department every 2 years. On regular septic systems, there's a sister bill going through that would require an inspection to be submitted to your local county health department every 10 years. So it's being kind of, for lack of a better term, addressed at a state level. So, long story short, your hands are somewhat tied short of, we just had one real close to here. Someone reported septic field not functioning properly, and the sanitarian came out and condemned his field. And he's gonna have to, he pumped it, and then he's got X amount of time to put in a new field, and probably because of the water level gonna have to be engineered, and probably to the tune of about $35,000, and
Oh my gosh.
you know, the guy might have to walk away from his house, you know.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of where that whole thing is. It's wherever you go, it's kind of, you know, so right now it's kind of almost like the enforcement of it, and talking to the guy in Oakland County that's ahead of it, and he doesn't necessarily agree with it, but it's kind of like speeding ticket enforcement. It's after the fact, other than that one section they were able to put in for engineered fields.
Yeah. Well, I know that when we were talking about the sewers, the county did state that Oakland County has a program available where people can get 0% zero payment loans from the county. That the only stipulation is they are paid due when the person eventually sells or leaves the house.
If
So-
they qualify.
If they qualify.
Depends on what your house is worth.
So,
Yeah.
if you have that information to pass on to that homeowner,
They have
Yeah,
it.
we are, I know that several people have approached that homeowner, and I don't want to publicize their name or anything, but several people have approached that person, and it is income qualification
Yes, it
based, so you gotta.
they said they're pretty lenient on there, but I don't know, I don't know the situation, so I can't comment on that.
And it's value of the home, and if you can get it out of it, and it's.
Correct.
Yes. But yes, he does have all the information on it,
Good.
and multiple ways to hopefully solve it.
Okay.
So
Rick, were
why
you-
why are we talking about it for the master plan then if it's not in our hands, it's been voted down, nobody wants it,
Okay,
so why would we
why are we
want to address
talking
it?
about it? Because there's an uneasiness by the village council members about putting something in there about putting sewers in the village of Ortonville. If we
Well,
discuss it here,
that's what I just said, why would we put anything in there? It's voted down, it's
I
moved.
just want it brought up amongst us, and we can make a statement, and it'll be in our minutes, and the village council will have that information to review.
So you would pass a motion that there won't be anything regarding sewers and this
No, I don't
cycle of the
think-
master plan?
Wait a minute, I don't think we're passing a motion on that.
You can, but I don't think I'd vote on it.
Did you have any more? Because you were
No.
talking when, okay.
No, my questions were answered.
Go ahead, Larry.
Okay, I would like to give my perspective on that. I think that whether or not the village as a whole is going to get a sewer system does impact the master plan, because it does have an impact on the type of development and such, and the type of activities that we can support in their downtown. So I think that, we probably need to include some kind of statement about the sewers and the fact that we do not see in the foreseeable future a possibility for the village to implement a sewer system for the community.
That's what they said.
And the impact on the economy, on the downtown will be X, Y, Z. And that the only possibility for alleviation would be a possibility if the business owners are able to fund some kind of initiative just for the downtown area. Because I think that's the only possibility. But I think we should at least investigate and document, hey, this is the reality, this is the way we see things. You know, the village isn't going to spend money to put in the sewer system, but there's a possibility that if the businesses can find a way to fund it by themselves, that they could potentially come up with a solution to improve that infrastructure need. That's how I would probably want to put it in the master plan. I think that we just for the sake of due diligence, we need to at least, you know, present the current situation and the reality of the sewers, just so that we have that document and we are thorough and complete in our plan and you know, don't overlook stuff like that, because it is a real factor in our community.
I don't have an issue with that, Larry. I don't know anybody else has any input that they'd like, Bob or?
No, I think I told my feeling about it, but I can go along with that, but I mean, I don't know why we'd even want to dwell on something that's a done deal already. I don't understand, because the more we just keep bringing it up, the more it's just everybody takes a different opinion of that, like there is. And if the master plan's good for what, 5 years, is that?
Correct.
Yeah.
And it is, we cannot control what happens in 5 years, and you cannot say what will or won't happen in 5 years. So if you say that, and then there are failings, and the county demands it, and we have to do it,
Yeah.
then it comes back on, but you said we weren't going to. I just don't think that we can foresee what it could or couldn't be. It's the fact that we're not pursuing it. The people have voted. The vote has been made, and at this point, it is not a direct village pursuit,
Yeah.
period.
And
We
by
And I
can't
think
say
that's
that they will or will
basically
not
all
be
we want
put
to do
in.
is capture, hey, this is the reality, this is the facts as it is today, and
I mean, it's a need
this is
versus
the
a want.
implication for our community, period. And just leave it, this is it. We're not planning on moving forward in sewers, and just state it like that. Just keep it just to strictly a factual assessment of the current situation for the infrastructure for, you know, solid waste in our
Can
community.
I just ask a quick question? If we don't put anything in there about sewers, wouldn't that be the same as putting in all this verbiage that you're saying? If we put nothing in there, it doesn't mean we're doing anything or not doing anything, it's just not in there. So this whole conversation is basically beating a dead horse.
Well,
Start at the beehive.
Okay,
I think
I
it's
look at it
important.
from a standpoint of doing the best for the people that live in this community.
Right.
And what I'm saying, by making this statement, the cost that would be incurred if you put sewer systems would be astronomical for the people that live in the village. So for not to say anything at all, I don't agree with that.
I think the purpose for
I think we
stating
all know
something,
that.
I think the purpose for stating something is to show that, yes, we didn't forget about sewers, because we know there's a lot of people that are really gung-ho for sewers, there's a lot of people who are really absolutely opposed to them. We didn't forget about sewers, we looked at it, this is a situation, pure and simple, and that's it. So that people will just know that, okay, it wasn't forgot. Because that's the thing that people will say is, well, you guys didn't even consider sewers, or didn't, you know, and I don't want to get in that situation. I want it to be like, yes, we did our due diligence, we looked at everything, we included a statement on the current situation, and just leave it at that.
Okay.
John, do you have a thought?
Well, I was just gonna say, I think it's important that you document the thought process.
Okay.
So does the thought process of what I'm hearing still include like there is in the current master plan, this alternative for a larger business-oriented septic system someplace in downtown? Is that gonna be included in the master plan as probably the only option right now if we want more businesses that will require some kind of larger septic systems?
I think the concern is residential.
Right, and we can
Not
say
the
we're not
business.
pursuing residential right now, but do we
Yeah.
still make a statement in there, as was in our survey actually, about a business septic system developed. What do you think, Bob, about that?
Maybe something, I don't know, in the minutes it would be fine, but putting it on the master plan itself, I suppose something that might indicate that there could be a spot downtown that they could put a commercial septic field in, no problem with that. But to make it even making reference to a sewer system, that's voted down. I mean, if it's,
Right.
and there isn't anybody that doesn't, in this village, doesn't understand how horrendous costs. It's been voted down, so let's drop it and move on.
Okay,
And
then-
according to the last master plan, you have businesses that have come in since that point that were loosely told there would be one in a couple years. And they're waiting and they have a business. And that, so if we put something in there, there might possibly go in the business district, you're waiting still, and you're still waiting. I don't think we should infer anything.
I think, yeah, I would probably not put any kind of indication of any type of community septic or business-only sewer or anything like that. I would just leave it more generic and say the only option would be if the local business community is willing to fund some kind of initiative, and just leave it at that, and let the business community find if and when they decide that they might want to take up that cost. And just say that's right now the option, because the village is not going to do it.
Okay, so,
But that'll come up again when we actually do the plan, won't it? I mean, we would have to make that decision here, do we?
No. But it's always good
Good
to
to
have
talk
good
it out.
discussions in
No,
advance, because that
absolutely.
helps us all clarify our thinking and get in alignment prior to actually hammering that out, right?
you know, I hear stuff from people and I'm trying to make them feel better by saying, hey, we don't foresee that anything in the master plan for financially is not feasible in the next 5 years, Bob. I mean, that's all I'm saying. If you don't want to, nobody wants to make a motion and second it, then we'll just pass it by and continue on.
Well, it'll come up again when we do, when the master plan gets to that point. I'm sure we'll have that discussion again, and whether or not we want in there and what we want in.
And I think we got a feel in the survey, and we'll get a better feel when people speak, and then we can kind of evaluate where it's at. I'm not comfortable saying what will happen in 5 years. Some fabulous federal grant can come down where people pay $200 out of their pocket and it's gonna go in.
And for some people,
Or-
it's still gonna be too much.
Or, you know, the businesses get together, I mean, we have no idea. Or it can be absolutely where it is, where it's been for 100 years. But we
Same
can't
way it's
say,
been since
beginning of
history.
time.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
But
I
we
think
can't
Matt
say.
had-
There's nothing
I
different.
think Matt might have some feedback he was wanting to share.
as long as it's appropriate. I think one of the things that triggered this whole revision was the intermediate school and how it was zoned, and trying to think, are we just going to go at this and just rezone that piece of property so it can be used for something other than governmental, religious, public use, right? And in a sense, the master plan restricted what that piece of property could be used for. So sewers aside, you should be going into it thinking, let's not restrict what the plan can do ultimately over the course of 5 years, or in 5 years if you reauthorize it, 10 years. So it is a toxic topic, but it is a leadership document that will help you make decisions later, not right now. That's just my opinion.
Good.
So if you say no sewers or yes sewers, you're tying the document to something specific, and I think the plan, how you structure the plan, gives you the flexibility to do things in the future,
Because
regardless of
if you
the
called
topic.
for a large restaurant to be in that building, that's fine. Then it's his problem to figure out how he's gonna do that. You know,
Correct,
and
correct.
it'll require sewers, Oakland County, not us, and which is great, but for us to say, okay, if you do that, you're gonna have, you gotta have sewers, you gotta have this or that. I don't think that's our responsibility, and I could be wrong with that, but to put it in there as a restaurant would be fine, you know.
Are you talking about the school building?
Correct.
So a banquet hall type of use, is that what you're?
Right, well, that's what some of the talk's been, there's been nothing.
Yeah, I mean, we're not gonna, I don't think we're gonna get that specific in the master plan, right?
No,
Yeah.
I would hope.
Well, it had already been purchased, it's up to the owner to decide what's going on.
Well, and
And
that,
that could be 5 years from now before he does anything.
that particular building just had its septic system rebuilt. So it might be all set up for that.
But you don't know for what population, for what kind of use.
Well, it was for
Hundreds
the
of kids.
fully occupied school. I imagine that's more than a big
I don't think
restaurant.
so. I don't think so. For dishwashing, I
Maybe not.
think it's pretty heavy what they require for that. But again, it's not our
No, it's not.
our responsibility.
And if it's a sports complex
Right,
with
the
showers and
gyms and
things
the
like that,
showers
gyms and
and- yeah.
showers, then that's also gonna have some pretty high.
Yeah, I think Barry was supposed to get with Bill.
And he's got all kinds of problems before he could ever even think of anything else.
Correct.
Other bill, right?
It should happen again.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I thought we were.
Sure, he's not here.
Oh,
Yeah.
But just generally speaking, and maybe John, that what I've been used to in master plans in the past is typically master plans are, you know, it's not, for lack of a better term, ordinances or laws that you can't, it's a general kind of vision or guidepost that you're trying to establish for the village versus, you know, so if you establish a thing that says, you know, realism of the situations is a 5-year plan.
Yeah.
And the next 5 years, like you've all said, and I'm just kind of sitting back and listening, you're not gonna have sewers in 5 years, even, you know, so for this cycle, you're not gonna do any damage by just simply saying, you know, if anything, you know, what you pick up in the community, what you pick up in the community, or what I've heard since I've come in, right, wrong, or indifferent, is people come to us and say, we hear you're doing the master plan, I hope they're not doing an end run to try to run sewers on us or something, because, and I echo what Lee said in the sense that I think there's a great deal of apprehension in the community. We hear it every day, you know. There's apprehension, I know, amongst the council that, you know, and like some of you have said, you know, why are we wasting time or something? Why can't we just say, hey, we're done talking about sewers this cycle, there's not gonna be anything in there, you know, we're done. Let's get it over with, let's move on, let's fix the master plan, and everybody's not gonna be, you know, in a public statement, like Lee said, in my opinion, it's your guys' planning commission, but that just shuts them up. I mean, pardon my French, it just says, the next person you see in the public that says, no, you're just trying to do an end run to get sewers. Nope, we've been on the record and said, this cycle of the master plan, we are putting nothing in there, we're not doing nothing about sewers. And then the same thing with anybody else you run into, you know, it's done, it's all that.
Yeah.
The
It's
scab
in the
is the
master
scab.
plan. There are no plans for sewers
In this
from the
5-year
village
cycle,
for the
boom.
community.
Can I ask a question? On the agenda here, item number B, under unfinished business, is the capital improvement plan. What's going on with that?
We haven't had a capital improvement plan here since 2003, roughly. So we're in the infancy of rolling out what a capital improvement plan looks like.
Sure.
What I've tried to do with that is the stuff that I kind of know that we've talked about at the village, it's gonna be in this budget cycle, is in there right now to kind of show, to get us started. And then going forward, we'll have budget, or a matter of fact, for the first time, I think it was finished today, that we, and I just sent it up for this meeting, was we'll actually have going forward a better idea where the different funds are, so you can start, like I can tell you today that at the end of next year, we'll have $208,000 available for major streets.
Right.
So then we can start going, okay, we know we don't have a pacer rating, from an outside source, but we've got a rating system and putting together an asset management plan.
Asset management plan.
That's one, in between budgets, that's what I'm kind of working on right now, which would prioritize.
And where on that are the sewers?
They're not on there, zero.
Okay.
You know,
I mean, that kind of clinches, what's going to happen with the sewers. But I think it's still important to put some recognition of the discussion and the thought process on them in the master plan.
Yeah.
And you'll look at it in 5 years and you'll adjust it based on what's available at that point in time.
Yeah.
Maybe at that point in time, the DDA is going to be generating so much increment, right? That they can pay for the, the downtown system. Who knows, So, but I think you're right, when you look at the master plan, granted, you look at it every 5 years or so. Every 5 years, you look at it. But you got to think longer term than that. You got to look at a planning horizon of 15 to 20 years. That's what your vision is. When you write down what your vision is, it's not for the next 5 years. That's relatively short term in terms of a planning perspective. So, I mean, you do have to put the thought process in there. And then, the tools like the capital improvement plan, zoning, and all those sort of things are meant to help you on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, I think we've beaten the horse enough and nobody wants to make any kind of motion or decision on it. We'll move on to item B, capital improvement plan. Review and discussion, commissioners' priorities.
Do we have to make any motion to approve everything, or?
I thought he was gonna correct it and they were gonna approve it tomorrow, they said.
Okay.
but don't,
So we as a
It-
plan,
It's approved now, subject
you
to the
have to-
change to the date and location.
and
It's gonna-
also email
And the
address,
website, yeah,
or,
yeah,
email address.
email address, yep.
Okay.
yep,
but don't you
yep.
guys want to actually approve the date of the open house?
I thought we did.
On the record?
I thought we should, I mean,
We didn't have a formal motion for
No.
no, we did
And
not.
do we have to approve the
Well,
items?
remember you asked me how we come up with that date in the email? We said we'd discuss it tonight and finalize it tonight.
Yeah.
Will you
Right.
send us
Yep.
updates of the icon list?
Of course.
So we don't have to have a motion
Okay.
to approve the card and,
We should have a motion.
We should.
Okay.
But wait a minute, before you do, I guess there are some people that don't use email still. And if we put something on either the newspaper ad or the postcard that says, if you can't make it to these meetings, give us information by email, your ideas. Maybe we should also just say, or
Stop.
They can
and
draw-
then go
stop
over
it.
this.
or write a letter to the village office, because it's not on here about.
Oh, yeah.
anything like
Hard
Well, would a
copy,
simple call
email,
or email this for more information? People can ask simple questions.
Well, you could ask.
It's not just gonna be to give your input, isn't it just going to be
They
for
can drop it in
informational
the
purposes?
Dropbox.
So, I'm just saying that some people don't actually use email yet, or maybe never will, and you might want, you at least put the phone number on it. there.
Is
Yep.
there a Dropbox that's
Yeah, right
accessible from the outside?
Yes.
Yeah,
That would be the way to go rather
yeah,
than
that would be.
phone calls.
I think,
would be
I
not
think,
good.
I think Dropbox is better, because otherwise they could get flooded with tons of phone calls and.
Well, I
just
guess what
spend
I'm
the whole
saying
time.
And there's
is,
gonna
we
be
have
he
an
said,
address
she
on there,
said
but no
stuff
phone
that's
number.
gonna be-
You need to have a phone number on there for any reason. I don't know where you're at, I can't find the address.
Oh, yeah, questions.
There's,
or
your phone
questions.
number needs to be on your contact information.
Yeah,
And just a mention of, you know, written material, written suggestions could be left in the Dropbox
yeah, yeah, I got that. Yeah.
on the outside of the village office.
Yep.
That
And
way,
say-
we don't have to, they can just
Email or deliver.
come over here and
Yep.
not have
Make
to
sure
mail
to
it.
include your name and address on any
Good
written
idea.
or emailed
That's a good idea.
comments, or they will not be considered.
Well, that's a good point. We don't want any anonymous comments, because they just use those for
Absolutely.
starting their fires.
And if they don't have a name and address on there, trash.
So
That's all we can do.
are you gonna just put must have name and address then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm an IT,
Anything
I know
without
how to do
identifiers
that.
will not be considered.
Good point.
Okay, so we've added the Dropbox, correct? And phone number we're putting on there, okay?
And email address?
And email, and does somebody wanna make a motion on that? And first, we wanna make a motion on that we're having the open house on June 28th at the old town hall.
I'll make a motion to hold the open house on June 28th at the Old Town Hall at 486 Mill Street
Second.
from from noon until 8 p.m.
Do we have a second?
I second the
Rick.
motion.
Oh, good job, Rick.
That was the right time, but 8.
Then,
Wait, let's vote on that.
do we have to do a roll call or just all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
So now I'm gonna make a motion that in addition to what's already on the postcard and the ad for the newspaper, that we also put on their village office phone number and this new email address that we were creating. And also mention that written suggestions can be put in the Dropbox on the outside of the village office.
Or mail it, or dropped off.
Or mail.
Hutch must have the name and address.
Yeah,
Yeah,
must
and
have
they
name
must
and
have name and
address.
address.
So does that motion approve the invitation, the newspaper article?
Yeah,
I'll support
that
it then.
applies to
And the
those.
website? Yeah. What about a flyer? Were we doing flyers or just no cards?
I think it was
Post-
Or
postcard.
postcards, just postcards, no flyers? I know at one time we mentioned that for the beekees, that they'd put in the, or send home with kids.
At the
or-
grocery store. Oh, the school.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think it'd be better to just, the postcards directly to the addresses that we have on record.
Mhm.
Because
That's fine.
otherwise, anybody could pick up those ones at Beaky's and then how
I
do we
just
know
wanted
who
to
we're
put it on
getting?
record.
Well, because they have a right to come to the event, and they have a
Yeah.
right to anybody. So it should go to the
Public
school.
here. It's
Yeah,
a
but we're gonna
public
put a
vote.
notice in the paper, so people are
Right.
gonna be notified, they can come to the event.
But they're,
for
he's
for
emailing it to
soliciting-
them, it's free to email it to the school, and all of our students get it. And all of their parents get it, and it goes in the newsletters, and then they have the information for here,
So we have a motion,
where
we
the
have a
schools are
second.
located.
Do you have a
But,
motion?
no.
I have the motion, yeah.
Okay. Do we have a second for this motion?
Bob
I
seconded it.
did.
Okay, I didn't hear that, sorry.
Let Lee do his job.
Nice. Didn't hear.
Was it a question?
Okay, we got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
So we do, we don't have a flyer, yes or no?
Continue on to item B,
Okay.
capital improvement plan. Review and discuss commissioners' priorities.
Make sure you look it up, other than what was previously emailed.
we emailed out some time ago. You guys asked me to put it on the row format,
Yeah.
so I emailed that out to everybody, so what we had said is if somebody had some more ideas you wanted,
Right. Additional items that we could put on the spreadsheet.
I will after the open house. Is that all right?
that's fine.
Okay.
You know, because the likelihood is that obviously, we're having budget meeting, we're having budget public hearing here July 11th. So, and I think we had some discussion on this all along, but really what we'd be looking at CIP wise is really kind of the next budget cycle, for lack of a better term, because this budget
So
cycle.
we'll have a realistic idea of the yearly this next year's budget.
June 11th.
June 11th, I'm sorry. June 11th's a public hearing on the budget, and then hopefully it'll be adopted then, but I can give you a brief update of what projects offhand that are kind of in there right now. Now, the budget has not been approved yet, so these may be subject to change, but currently in the budget is the Cedar Street, Schoolhouse Street that got pushed from this year to next year.
The paving?
Yeah, it's gonna be done July, but it just fell after this fiscal
Oh,
year.
the fiscal year.
So I had to move it.
All right,
fiscal
He
year.
said next year.
Yeah, I really thought 2019.
No,
Okay, no.
Their year
Not
starts
this
July
year?
1st.
Yeah, I know.
That July
Fiscal
5th
year.
or something,
Fiscal
so
year.
it's.
Fiscal was P word.
Because the work's not starting till after July 1st, you can't book it this fiscal year, so we're doing that. The other one currently in the budget is the Narren Ball, Myron sidewalks.
Oh, sidewalks.
So that's about and I originally put in the CIP, so I've updated that. It was, I thought it was 60,000, is actually was estimated at 50. So that project will be in this budget cycle, if the budget's approved. And DNR grant for the concession stand that we talked about. We put our match in the budget, but the revenues from the DNR's not in there yet because we haven't got it. So if we don't get that project, and I think I've told you the scrap tire grant we had for Davis and Edwards Street, that one we did not get because basically, and it doesn't mean that we won't get it, we just won't get it this fiscal cycle from them because they have a new rule basically that they don't do you scrap tire grants more than 2 years in a row. So they make you sit out a year, and I know I hate saying it, or you guys hate the example, probably they did the same thing to us up in Lapeer. So we had to set out a cycle. So I fully expect, the good news is with that, we've done all the engineering for that project, and so that's all sitting there, so we can resubmit that next cycle for the scrap tire grant, you know. But based on what I see, based on the budget and that, we should be in pretty good shape going forward, like I said, on especially on major streets. And that includes some stuff that we could do probably creative that MDOT is taking a different stand lately, and matter of fact, asking that you basically allocate a certain amount of money for things other than just streets, like sidewalks. So we may have some more flexibility going forward related to, things, walkability, sidewalk, that kind
Would that
tied to
include
roads.
signage or
Yeah.
lights?
Signage, lights, possibly,
Okay.
you know, traffic calming type
Yeah.
stuff that we talked
Because
about.
that's some of the stuff that
Yeah.
I'd really like to help push and
Yeah.
make a difference here.
So, I think that'll give us a lot of time. I think, you know, it gives us a lot of time to submit or look at a CIP, because the budget now is more, I think,
More defined.
more defined, more, you know, and it's, my goal is to have that to where it's fairly spot on, to where every year we know, and that this year is a kind of 2-year look ahead, and I'd like to get that to where we're into about a 3 to 5 year look ahead, to where we have a pretty good idea. Now, there's always the craps that hit us, like, you know, this year with the tractor,
Yeah.
and but the funny thing was, on the last CIP, that tractor was supposed to be replaced in 2009, before I got here the last time.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Actually, speaking of things like the tractor, you know, you've talked about the streets so far. How is it going with developing an asset life cycle plan for the more expensive heavy equipment and buildings and things?
Good, I think, because that's part of what, if you look at the CIP, that's part of what I've kind of asked you guys to take a look at. Like, the next thing that's gonna go is that, hopefully, knock on wood, is the lawnmower, you know, the big, the $10,000, the
Zero turn.
That'll need to get probably replaced next budget cycle if we can get it through to them. And then the other thing is the 3/4 ton truck, the salt truck, that is pretty much, we hope to get another couple of years out of it. But that's gonna be expensive. That's gonna be you know, like a $70,000 hit, you know, by the time you buy, because the truck's, I can't remember how old now, but you can't put a current plow on or the plow we got out there on a new truck.
Right.
You know, everything's been redesigned, so you're not only talking $65,000, $70,000 truck, you're talking a, you know, $8,000 to $15,000 plow probably at the same time, plus spreaders and all that stuff.
Okay, and has the council also seen that prioritization spreadsheet?
Yes,
Okay.
I forwarded that to everybody.
Okay,
And we'll be talking, and one other thing I wanted to cover on a CIP too, it's not in the budget this time, but I want to try to find maybe money somewhere, whether we have to do a Kickstarter campaign or something. We got the quote back, conditioning and heating the old town hall, which I wish he was still here, because I was gonna hit him up on the same thing, that might be a real cool project for, it came in and I thought it was gonna be like $25,000. It came in at like 12 grand. So, and that's for heating and air conditioning, and the furnace is, you know, just an old beast. Guy looked at it and said, you're looking at 45 to 50% efficiency here.
What's the square footage on that old town hall?
Got it in the quote, but I
I
don't
was
know
gonna say,
offhand. It's
can't
not
be that
much
much
bigger than a
different than
small
mine.
house.
Can't be that much different from my house, and
No.
so units.
But we were talking in the savings alone, and then the upping of the rental ability, because of having it, you know, you can't rent in the summer. It's too hot for anybody to have a bank, you know, a whatever,
Anything.
baby shower.
Yeah, yeah.
And so we were talking about between those two things, it might be something that's
Yeah, I know how
more
bad it
feasible
is.
than you assume.
My AC went out last week, Wednesday night.
Oh dear.
I don't have it, so.
We don't either. Never have.
But to have a whole group of people and to, you know, pay
Yeah.
money,
You can't.
My
You'd like some
daughter,
air.
my daughter put our AC in the window for me.
Oh, good.
God bless her.
I
God
have
bless
one
her.
without
Well,
AC.
they came out and fixed it Friday evening finally.
I know, I haven't,
That was
have
nice.
not been without it.
$2,400 birthday
That's what my
gift I had
husband
to
does
pay
for a
for.
living.
But that, from a historic building standpoint too, my experience is that if you can keep the temperature at a relatively simple or tight range, then you also expand the life of the building and lessen the damage done to the building. We are going to, you're going to put, what is in the budget is smart thermostats for all the buildings, plus LED. We've fully converted the old town hall to LED. This will all be converted to LED. We'll do it ourselves. And the savings that we're seeing from the LED lighting and the street lights that we converted earlier this year, the first month came through was like $600 cheaper.
And then we just got the second bill and it was $566 cheaper.
So we're saving by that conversion
Enough to
$550
put
to
the-
$600 a month.
Oh, yeah, and
Yeah,
then like
return on investment.
motion detectors on the lights in
I
here.
think that's
if you're
what-
not-
Well, the new
2 years, 1
thermostats,
month
new
is what
thermostats will be
they
able
said
to
it
be
was gonna
tied to a
be.
smartphone.
2.34.
And if somebody rents the old town hall and it's the men's knitting circle or something, and they go in there and they turn it up to, those guys turn it up to like 85 degrees because they're cold and leave, we'll be able to, Bob and I or Liz will have on our, you know, an app on our phone and be able to go, oh, yep, they forgot to turn it down, turn it down.
And we've had people even leave the window open over there in the middle of winter because the heat's been run all the way up to 80 degrees.
Oh, jeez.
So,
Okay. You all set? Any other items on the capital improvement?
Was the August date changed, kept the same what? Because we changed fixed the July but not August.
I don't think they did.
We have not fixed
Change
it
it, do you want to change the August date too?
Pardon?
Oh,
You're gonna modify the August date to, because it was on election night?
yeah. Would the 14th work for people?
Yep.
Hearing no objections, I will make a motion to move
Say
our
August
August 7th.
14th.
Yeah, move our August 7th planning commission meeting to August 14th.
Support.
So are we switching it, or?
We have to,
We just made the motion to change it to
Yeah, and I
14th.
supported it, now you gotta do yays and nays.
Oh, okay.
Any issue? We have all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We move it to August
a lot of motion.
14th, just for Tanya.
No.
And
So you
And
all
Liz.
can exercise your right to vote that evening.
And we will be there to assist you.
No.
Okay,
I don't even know what I'm voting
any
for.
other items, Bill, you want to
We
discuss?
just roughly, one of the things you guys asked about, and also the village council asked about, was, you know, what kind of activities going on and the things. So after the last planning commission meeting, council meeting, Liz came up with this neat little report. Now, going forward, it'll be fiscal year to date. But basically, if you look at it, it gives you a breakdown of what kind of permits that we've issued, not necessarily completed. People have come in and issued, and shows you how they break down. And then over here, what we want to do is, because what you guys asked for was kind of what highlights, because there's businesses opening up, and you guys didn't know about it and that kind of thing. So we're going to put this out every month, and kind of the highlights there that says, you know, like a new house, new homes being built on the corner of James and Ball. You got Impact North, got its CO. Its little things didn't need a CO, but you know that that's opened up. And Flo's Place is the dry clean drop-off,
Okay,
alterations, and tuxedo rental place that went into the old church, I think it was.
Where's
And
that?
then,
Right across the street from the fire station.
yeah.
Oh, that place.
And then, we still haven't heard if the doggy daycare is a go or not, but that's going into, if it goes in, it's gonna go into where the old,
Phone store.
phone store next to Tom's.
And if you were not aware, C of O stands for Certificate of Occupancy.
Oh, okay.
Not Chesapeake in Ohio.
Thank you.
And I've talked enough tonight, so I'm,
Okay.
Okay. If there isn't anything else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. To adjourn.
Would you like the motion first?
Well, now, who was it?